All right, fam, let's go. It's your boy Chadsky coming at you with another video. We love putting these things out, guys. It is so wonderful and fun to do, and we're gonna have a good one today for you. If you like the channel, be sure to subscribe. If you like the videos, throw a thumbs up on them and hang out with us. Help support the channel. What we're trying to get done today to help you become better players, to give you real rock life applications. That's what we like to say. The Discord link for my Discord. We've almost got 2,000 people in my Discord. Okay, we just started it. And that link is down in the description. That's where a lot of these ideas come from. It's where a lot of the different things that we do comes from, as far as the debates and some of the things that people are trying to get done when it comes to the game and how things work. And this is where a lot of my content comes from. And this is what makes this game so much fun. Okay, so we're going to ask the age-old question as we get into the video here. I'm on my alt account. Just anybody that doesn't know, it's a cute little account I got. It's the last of the main accounts in 2605, okay? I mess around with this. I've got 5 marches. I've got a good garrison on it. It's an infantry account. And I even run this old school infantry city skin. I love it. I've had it for 4 years. It's 10% defense. It's great. But this account is actually pretty good. But I'm going to use this as we're fighting in Zone 5 and with my main account. It's been crazy. And we're having so much fun in that big KVK. It's awesome. I encourage everybody to check it out. And it's obviously the KVK with 365 and 2377. And then we work 2293, work teamed up with 2934. We've had a crazy Zone 5 fight. It's a lot of fun. But I want to address this. It's the crit versus Awaken debate. Okay? It's the crit versus Awaken debate. All right? And let me give you an idea and give you my recommendation on what I think. Okay? Let's come over here and let's go to the gloves here. Okay? So you can see where I've tried to awaken, or I've tried to refine this thing to get it to crit. I've had to use 2 refinements to get to 50% out of 100. Okay, do you guys know how much that costs? That has literally costed me 40 legendary materials because I've done this 20 twice. Okay, so this is where it's real deficient. Until you get the special inscription, you're just wasting materials. Okay, so let's look at what happens when all of a sudden you decide to awaken it. Okay, and the benefit you get. First of all, if you have iconic crystals, you get them on your legendary pieces. That's just what you do. You get your iconic crystals on your legendary pieces. From there, the first thing you should do, and this is my recommendation for everybody, the first thing you should do to get immediate impact, and it's super cheap, okay, the first thing you should do is get your tier level to level 2. Okay, it's generally going to give you a stat. It's going to give you 1% of stats. For the gloves, it's 1% attack. For the helmet, it's going to give you 1% health, which is great. For the chest, it's going to give you 1% enemy attack ignored. Great. For the greaves, it's going to give you enemy health ignored of 1%. Great. For the weapon, it's going to give you enemy health ignored 2.5%. Okay. And then for the boots, it's going to give you infantry defense of 1%. Okay, so you can compare this to any other of the troop types, but I'm using infantry as a baseline. Okay, we're going to use infantry as a baseline, and then I need a baseline for base stats because I want to show you the impact of the crit versus the impact of the tier 2 awakening. Okay, so the impact of the crit is based off the base stats. How do you get the base stats, you might ask? Okay, here's how you get them. You come over here to any civilization. When you do, you're going to click switch. Okay, and when you do, you're going to come down here to infantry. These are your base stats. This is the base stats the game gives you. And for the Royal Guard, this is just the tier 5 infantry. Okay, now I am I believe Rome. No, I'm Greece here. Okay, so I've got the Greece special unit. Okay, you can see that it gives more defense and more attack than the Royal Guard, but we're just going to go off the Royal Guard. And if you look over here, and this is just basically for everything, all Royal Guard infantry units of any civilization that's not a special troop type gives you 220 attack, 212 defense, 216 health. So I'm going to use just 220 as a baseline. I don't care. You can get into splitting hairs on defense and health, but I'm just going to use 220 as a general baseline because I want to see what the crit does to that base stat. And then I want to see what the awaken does in the tier 2 awakens to that base stat. And I want to compare the two and figure out what works best. Okay, so follow me here as we go through this and we look at these general pieces of equipment. Let's go first with the gloves. Okay, if you got critted gloves, it's going to give you an extra 2.5% of stats. So I'm going to pull up my graph here. It's nice and pretty and neat just for everybody, okay? But you can see on the left here, I'm in the yellow, based on the gloves, chest, and weapon. On the yellow, I've got the special talent, the crit effect of the base stats, okay? You'll see up here on gloves, it says defense. It's got a base stat 220. It's got a crit of 2.5% that we just saw. That impact to that base stat is gonna total 225.5, which gives you a total impact in the orange here at 5.5. 5.5 is the base stat impact that crit does, that special talent does to the glove. Okay, so if you come over here to the right where the Awakening is, the Tier 1 Awakening, which just costs you nothing but an iconic crystal, gives you 3 points of base attack. So that's going to put your base total at 223. Okay, that makes sense. And then from there, the level 2, okay, and we'll go into that here in just a second, pull it off. We'll go to level 2. The infantry attack of 1%. I'm not going to include the crit over here because we're comparing non-crit tier levels of Awakening to crit material or to crit equipment. So we're going to add 1% of attack. And when you do that and you look over here, level 2, 1%, the impact of that goes to 225.23, okay? Because you're actually working it off of this number right here, 223. So to add 1% gives you that. So in the bottom, the actual impact of the base stat is 5.23, okay? So level 2 Awakening, it doesn't hardly cost anything. That's the beauty of Awakening. You immediately get return without costing anything. Come over here. Look at this. Costs you 10 material. That's it. 10 material. All right. And that's the point of all this, is that when you look at this, you get a 5.23 impact in your base stats compared to a 5.5 impact in your base stats on the special talent. Okay. So are you picking up what I'm putting down? Are you understanding what I'm saying here? Let's go to the chest. Okay. The chest, when we pull this up, I'll go to the Hope Cloak we got here. The crit on the Hope Cloak is going to add 4% of stats, okay? And then the tier, the icon, to put an iconic crystal, is going to add 3 points to your base stats. Then your tier 2 of your iconic is going to add 1% of attack ignored from the enemy, okay? So you're going to ignore 1%, okay? So that's the same thing as getting 1% of attack. So we're going to add those up and we're going to see what we got. So on the chest here, you can see 220 base stats. That's the baseline we're starting. The 4% crit gives you 228.8% of total base stats. That's an 8.8 base stat increase. That's an impact that 4% crit does, which makes perfect sense. Okay, now you come over here to the Awaken. The level 1 defense gives you 3 points of baseline stats. That's going to push your baseline stats to 223. Then the attack ignored is going to go off that 220 baseline number. We're going to add 1%. That's 222.2. So you add those two up with the level 1 and level 2, and you get a 5.2 base stat impact of tier 2 iconic crystals, right? Or iconic tier list. Tier 2 gives you a 5.2 base stat impact, okay? Well, compared to the 8.8, that's not as good, okay? And really the 8.8 has got it for defense, where you got a little bit of attack over here. So it's not quite as good, okay? But follow me here. There's a reason why we're talking about this. The weapon's even more, because the weapon, if you look down in the bottom left, it gives you a 6% increase on your crit. So if you go with a 220 baseline stat, that's going to run it to 233.2. And the total impact of the baseline stat is going to be 13.2. That's pretty big. Okay, well then you do the attack. You get the base attack points of 3 on the crystal, iconic crystal, run tier 1 Awakening, and you get 223 points. That's fine. Okay, but then you have a health ignore of 2%. Okay, well that's 2% of 220 because it's a health. It's different than the attack, and that's health ignored. So that gives you a 224.4. So you add the level 1 and level 2 up. You have a 7.4 impact of base stats. Okay, it's almost half of the weapon being special talented. Okay, so to give you an idea, that gives you the top one with the gloves is about the same as far as the base stat comparison. The chest The special talent is better, but you still have a 5.2 base stat impact with the Awakening on the chest. On the weapon at the bottom, you got a much bigger increase because the special talent of the weapon is 6%, and the impact of that turns into 13.2 baseline points of impact, where on the Awakening, you got a 7.4 baseline points of impact, okay? So let's come over here to the helmet and the greaves and the boots, okay? The helmet, 3.5% baseline increase, that gives you 7.7, okay? On the Awakening, the Iconic Crystal gives you 3 points of baseline stats, just like every tier 1 does for the Awakening, and that gives you 223. Then you have health of 1%, that gives you 222.2. That's a 5.2 impact to your base stats, to that 220 that we talk about. That's your baseline. That's a 5.2 increase in those particular points of base stats. Where in the yellow side over here, it's 7.7, so it's better, obviously. Okay, come down here to the greaves, you get an 8.8 impact of points on your base stats, and on the Awakening you stick at 5.2 because you got the same type of deal. Now it's all health over here, so that might be a little bit more. I'm not getting into health and defense. I'm just working base stats. 220 base stats. How does special talent versus Awaken impact that 220? That's all I'm trying to do. Okay, on the boots down here, you get 2.5% increase. On the 220, it gives you a 5.5 impact on the base stats. And then on the Awaken, you've got health of 3 points. We got that. And then you got defense of 1%, 222.2. It gives you a 5.2 impact on your base stats. Okay, so everybody understands exactly what I'm saying here. So my recommendation, and after putting all this out for you, it is always better to have a special talented piece of equipment, okay, that you can go throw an Iconic Crystal on, or a special talent piece of equipment compared to the Iconic Crystals. But when you talk about level 2, that is my recommendation. And let me explain to you why. Okay, let me come back over here to these gloves that are just the bane of my existence right now on this particular account. Not these ones here. I have put, okay, there to try to refine this, you have to put 20 legendary materials just to get a chance to refine it. Well, I've already done this twice to get to 50. Okay, so I have put in 40 legendary materials and I have nothing in return. Absolutely nothing. I don't have a crit over here. I have nothing in return. Okay. What I would rather do is, if I have a piece of equipment, okay, that hadn't even, let's say I've got these boots here and I have put nothing into refining them. It's going to take 20 legendary materials just to have a chance to try to crit it. But more times than not, it's going to take you 2 to 3 refinements to get it critted. Okay. And that's where the gambo is in refining your equipment. However, if I want to go to tier 2 on my Awakening, it's 10 materials and a blueprint. That's it. 10 materials. So my recommendation is that if you do not have special talented equipment, okay, like these gloves, these boots, these greaves, get them to tier 2 before you start trying to special talent them, before you start trying to proc them with your refinement system. Always get your gear to tier 2 and grab the benefit of whatever it gives you. Okay, over here on the chest with calves, get the enemy health ignored of 1%. Get that before you try to refine it. Okay, because that's that's 30 materials. Okay, meanwhile, to go tier 2 Awakening, it's 15. It's half. Plus you get immediate benefit. Okay, over here, if you go do this and you get 25%, or if you get 50%, you still got to do it a couple more times. Okay, so you got to load all that up to get the special talent. So players that are growing your accounts and you're growing your base of your marches and you're getting some legendary pieces of equipment, you're getting those and you're wanting to get as much impact as you can, as quick as you can, get all of your non-special talented equipment to tier 2 before you start refining it. That's my recommendation for all of this. And that's the whole point. I wanted to bring this up, is that what do you do? Okay. And the reason why I stop at tier 2, and this is very important for everybody to know, because tier 3 of every one of these equipments is all unit capacity. Okay. And that's fine if you're a whale and you're in Canyon and you're trying to ramp up your unit cap so you can have a more competitive Canyon lineup. That's fine. But in the open field, listen, unit capacity of 400, that's nothing. That literally doesn't do anything in the open field, okay? It's just one of those prerequisites you got to do if you really want to go to tier 4 and tier 5. All right, so that's why I always stop at tier 2, and that needs to be addressed, because people are like, well, why are you stopping at tier 2? Because tier 2 is the easiest benefit to get infantry health, 1%. Great, give it to me. I'll take it right now. But then tier 3 is unit capacity 500. When you're putting out 230 or 210 or 300 with a 50% expansion, you're putting 300,000 troops out there. This unit cap of 500 doesn't do it. It adds literally like 1,500 troops to 300,000. It literally doesn't do much of anything, okay, in the field. So don't worry about the tier 3 stuff until you're wanting to go to tier 4 and tier 5. That's why I always say with my breakdown here and how I did all this, I stopped at level 2, because the argument I'm trying to make is if you have a piece of equipment that's legendary, before you invest any materials and blueprints into refining it, get it to tier 2 before you do anything. Get that immediate return. Okay, and then you go work on your refinements. And that's the whole point. Everybody asks about that. Hey, Awakening versus Iconic, how does that work? Or the Awakening versus Special Talents, how does that work? And that's my recommendation. Any equipment here, okay, boots and chests, this is what I've got here. I'm gonna run those to tier 2 before I even start to refine it, okay? Because I know this is a long, hard road, and it takes a lot of materials and a lot of blueprints, where this takes one blueprint to awaken this, to go to tier 2, it takes one blueprint and it takes 10 material. It takes nothing. Everybody can get all of their non-special talent equipment to tier 2 very quickly. Okay, just put an iconic crystal on it, get a blueprint, get it to tier 2, and you will be a better player and get the most value out of it. If you like this channel, give me a subscribe. If you like the video, throw a thumbs up on it. I appreciate everybody's feedback in this. I'm trying to give as much information as possible. I'm trying to be as detailed as possible and just give you the facts and give you what works. There's not a lot of fluff with this. We're going to talk about numbers. We're going to talk about how it impacts your marches. We're going to talk about how it impacts your account. And that's what my whole channel is based on. So if you like it, give me comments. Let me know your feedback. I'm always available to respond. Everybody knows me. I'm a fun-loving guy, and I always like to engage with everybody in the community. I'm a man of the people. That's kind of how I like to portray myself. And so join the Discord. The Discord link is in the description, and come hang out with us for more of these videos. And with that, everybody have a good day, broskies.